later this month, relatives of those who were killed and injured in the Birmingham pub bombings will pause to mark the 51st anniversary of the IRA atrocity.
Yes, 51 years now since that happened in Birmingham, and they'll do so in the knowledge that there will be no judge-led inquiry into the attack, which they had been campaigning for. They say they are outraged but not surprised by the decision. Our reporter Bob Hockenhull has more on this.
It'll be 51 years this month since two pubs, the Mulberry Bush and the Tavern in the Town, were bombed. 21 people died, 220 were injured. Since 2009, Julie Hambleton, whose sister Maxine died, has campaigned alongside other victims' relatives to get a judge-led public inquiry into the atrocity. She's received a letter telling her the government won't agree to that public inquiry.
I'm outraged, disappointed, but it's no shock. It's what we expected. It's as if they are quite literally spitting on the graves of our loved ones.
Security Minister Dan Jarvis says he has deep sympathy with the families, but after careful consideration, the government couldn't commit to an inquiry. Instead, the relatively new Independent Commission for Reconciliation and Information Recovery will investigate the bombings.
And now they want to pile us into a corner and push us in the hope of pacifying us, to give us answers to questions that they claim they've never had.
This tree sculpture outside New Street Station remembers the victims. The West Midlands Mayor Richard Parker and Birmingham City Council leader John Cotton have issued a joint statement. They say they'll be calling for a meeting with the Security Minister alongside the families to discuss how the government can continue to help them find answers. They're also calling for the Independent Commission to use its full powers to ensure all the evidence relating to the pub bombings is brought to light. The families have already been meeting to discuss their next move over what they call a very disappointing decision. Bob Hockenhull, BBC News, Birmingham.
Well, we're joined now by Paul Bridgewater, whose father was killed in the bombings, and Maureen Mitchell, who was seriously injured by shrapnel. Thank you both for being with us this morning. Paul, you never actually knew your dad, did you? Tell us your own story, your personal connection to this.
Well, I was born posthumously. My dad died 3 months before I was born. I mean, he was walking past the Mulberry Bush with his friend, Neil Tommy Marsh, and they sadly passed away in the bombings. I've just had stories, from my mother and family members about, my dad and what a character he was. He was full of life. He loved his martial arts, heavily into martial arts. But it's just, this situation's always sort of been unresolved for myself. I've never found the real truth over the years. It's the Birmingham Six did it, and then they got miscarriage of justice, and then there was nothing. There was a big void. So there's just so many unanswered questions for myself and my family.
And what are those unanswered questions? Because, as you'll know, the government has said they don't believe a judge-led inquiry is necessary, and they've said this ongoing independent commission will be effective in getting to the bottom of whatever it is you feel needs to be addressed. But what for you are the key questions?
It's everything, really. It's what happened, whether I like the truth. It's just finding out every single detail. I mean, the pub bombings is the biggest unsolved mass murder, in Britain, UK, in the 20th century. We need to find every detail for myself personally, my family. Because my dad and his friend, my mum didn't find out till 2-3 days later. The authorities didn't tell them that my father had passed away till 3 days later. There's so many stories and theories that people are saying whether there was collusion. The Home Office are implicated. They knew far back as 1975 that Birmingham Six didn't do it, and they sat on that. So the commission to me is useless, and I had a discussion when we found out the decision from the family members. Yeah. We had a big discussion about it, and we're not interested in that commission. It's not independent. It's not going to answer everything. It's not Article 2 compliant. It's not independent. It's not going to compel witnesses to come and give evidence. So for me, it's a waste of time.
Paul, we're going to bring in Maureen as well now. Maureen, you were actually there that night. Briefly, just sort of explain the impact that it's had on you and whether it's a similar feeling that you've got to what Paul has described.
I think the actual decision not to have a public inquiry has not impacted me as much, because I've always believed that, or I've always accepted that we would never get justice in my lifetime.
And when the government says that it believes that the Commission will reach the answers and will be the best way forward, how do you feel about that?
I think the same as the other families, that, you know, it won't be an independent inquiry because probably because we're on the mainland, we're not directly involved with Ireland or Northern Ireland. So I don't believe it will have an impact.
What would you like to see happen?
As I say, I've come to terms with it a long time ago that I don't think we'll ever see justice. I mean, I went through some dark times in the early years, but now I'm very happy and very settled, and I think some of the reconciliation work I did helped me with that as well. As I say, there were dark times, but you just have to come to the point where you've got to live your life.
That is the challenge, Paul, isn't it? For Maureen, she feels that she's able to perhaps, if not move on, but see a future where this doesn't dominate. But everyone will be different, and for you, these unanswered questions are still vitally important. When you've approached the Home Office about this directly and spoken to them, what kind of response have you had?
We haven't really had much response. It's always been like delaying tactics with them, or saying, "Oh, we're looking over it. We'll be in touch on that." And that's successive government, so it's not just now Labour. Now it's all through the years. Everything's been delaying, denying. And I mean, my opinion is that they want us all to sort of just like go away or like pass away. For me, the void is, and I understand that, and I accept you know, Maureen's opinion, and everyone's different. But for me, because I never got to meet my father, it was slightly different, you know, from a lot of the other family members. And that void, even when I speak to my daughter about it, and my eldest granddaughter, she's 4, and she knows a little bit about, you know, my father. And it's just keeping that voice alive for, you know, the 21 that passed away.
Yeah, you do have, as we saw in the piece there is the memorial to the victims, and let's not forget over 100 people injured as well, as Maureen was in that attack, and left with the psychological scars of being involved. But do you think that perhaps Birmingham as a city, the country as a whole, has almost forgotten this moment in history that was so devastating at the time?
Yeah, I do. I do believe if it happened in London or Manchester, I think it would have been a different case. I think Birmingham's sort of been pushed to the side. For what reason, I don't know. I mean, this is the second city, but I do think if it had happened in London, there'd have been a different outcome. There's been so many, you know, tragedies and stuff that have got, you know, inquiries and stuff, and we've sort of just been left to the side, and then we've just been denied it. It's 51 years. It's outrageous that we're not asking for a lot. Just give us the truth.
OK. Paul, thank you very much for joining us here this morning. And Maureen, thank you to you as well. Thank you both for being with us and talking about it all this morning. Thank you.